up, bitches?
My name is Michael Wildboy Glasgow, co-captain of the Headshot Posse esports team, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit new. I don't know why, I couldn't tell you. If you have a book report, school project, or you just like cows, this is the video for you. I'm going to be talking about the official Texas state animal, the Texas Longhorn. So why are we talking about the Texas Longhorns?
Do you see the size of those things? That is crazy, dude. Look at that. In 2013, the University of Texas at Austin conducted a study of over 50,000 genetic markers of over 58 different cattle breeds that determined that the Texas Longhorn genome traces back to the second voyage of Christopher Columbus to the New World.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Honey and I actually visited the Longhorn at Quanah State Park in Texas during a camping trip. It was super cool. They're super awesome. We fed them. They like slobbered all over my hand, and Honey was strapped in my little chest compartment like a baby, so it was perfect.
Later, when Vasquez de Coronado came along with an additional head of 500 cattle, these cattle ended up mating with the native cattle and English cattle, forming the new breed of Texas Longhorn. These Longhorns were a more durable breed, suited better to the arid climate of the developing Southwest that would eventually become America.
I mean, check this out. These cattle are so durable that they just eat straight up cactus. Like, other cattle don't do that, but the Texas Longhorns do.
And look how badass this is. When they're like threatened, they'll all group up around the young ones, turn their horns out, and form this defensive perimeter bubble with their long horns so any predators gets yeeted out of the way. By the 1600s, these longhorns were in the thousands across the land, and the utilization of their meat and hides helped sustain the Spanish missions and settlements. Their durability allowed large-scale cattle drives to the northern railheads to be sold at high prices to meatpacking plants in Chicago and St. Louis. These cattle drives gave way to the modern-day imagery of the cowboy and his herd in the rugged terrain of the Wild West. Changes in the beef industry led to a decline in the breeding of the Longhorns as other breeds became more favorable for the industrial scale of meat production needed for a developing United States. By the early 1900s, the Longhorn cattle breed was near extinction until the 1920s, when a group of cattle breeders decided to try and preserve the breed. Through careful breeding and selection, a small herd has been revived and is now maintained by ranchers across the West. This cattle's enduring legacy is a testament to its own durability and contributions to Texas and the United States.
So yeah, that was it. I hope you liked it. There are tons of other cool Texas state animals that I would love to show you guys and talk about if that's something you're into. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hello, sorry to leave you here like that with Braco all alone. My name's Mike, Wildboy Glasgow, and we're gonna learn about energy healing today.
Can your pain and your problems disappear with a simple
Жители
stare?
региона проявили активный интерес к визиту хорватского целителя Braco.
Thousands of people from across the Northwest and beyond are converging upon Seattle today to bask in the
Sein Auftritt
gaze.
dauert nur ein paar Minuten, trotzdem nehmen viele Menschen teil.
For about 10 minutes, and he gazes over the crowd.
According to his official website, Braco, say it with me, that's so fun to say, Braco. You gotta really roll the R's. Braco. Braco is a gentle Croatian man with a remarkable gift, a silent gaze that induces transformative changes and profound experiences in the hundreds of thousands who attend his gazing sessions.
More than 7,000 people come to one single event to meet Braco because they feel something through Braco's gaze.
Braco does not claim to be a faith healer, and Braco never speaks in public and has not spoken to the press or in public since 2002, over 20 years of just not speaking to the public at these things. That's crazy. But merely gazes, his form of spiritual expression. Some call it soul gazing.
Braco, he doesn't speak, he gazes.
Braco was born Josip Grabovac in Zagreb, Croatia, Jesus Christ, on November 23rd, 1967. He got a degree in economics. Is that surprising to anyone? At public events, Braco stands on a podium following a 10-minute period of introduction and silently looks at the members of the audience for a period of 5 to 10 minutes. Afterwards, during a period called meditation and reflection, believers have claimed to experience life changes, healings, and positive experiences. Wow.
There's like 200 people in each session. Literally all the guy does is gay. They do this whole big build-up, and they have people come up and tell their stories, and then he comes out to gaze at you. Literally, that's all for 10 minutes. He just comes out.
That's a great game.
And it's beautiful because he doesn't bother doing this. He doesn't make you get up and go. Oh, he knows that the key to any of that shit is you believing anyway. So he just skips the show. He doesn't give you a Benny Hinn show. He just goes, it's all on you, believe it or not, and they fucking believe it. And he sells merch afterwards. He sells DVDs of him staring at you. You can buy a DVD and put it in and he'll stare at you.
Even scientists have researched the power of his gaze, but still they don't know why it can work.
I mean, he is just a person, but he has given up his own life, maybe his things he would have otherwise done to help everyone else in the whole wide world.
Just a man, but burdened with just the weight and responsibility of having to heal everyone. Like, he could have done so much else, but like, this was his destiny. Some real heavy lies the crown type shit.
When he stands in front of groups of people, they feel a sense of hope, they feel peace, they feel like life makes sense again.
Believers claim Braco's physical presence is not necessary, and gazing at a picture or video of him can be sufficient for healing. Which brings us to this transition point where you too can receive Braco's healing gaze, because for almost every day, for the last at least 8 years, 13 times a day on the days where he streams, you can watch one of his live broadcasts from Croatia right on his website. And I've watched a few of these healing sessions. Like, it's been a while, not just researching this, but like also unironically, I was in the army, I was homesick, don't judge me. It's literally what everyone says. He just goes up there on the webcam and you just have a staring contest with him for 10 minutes basically. It's wild. It's wild. On the site you can also check out his plethora of merch, from his children's book about traveling to Atlantis or his many biographies and educational texts, as well as his special sun symbol jewelry collection. Yo, is Braco dripped out in ice? Hashtag icy Braco. But even the magical Braco is not without his share of controversy. During the Croatian War of Independence, Braco met his mentor, Ivica Pročić, in 1993, who was a Serbian economist, but also the head of the Cult of the Sun. Pročić thought himself a prophet and would channel visions to his over 1 million followers about everything from the chakras to Jesus to Atlantis. You gotta have Atlantis in these things. It has to be included. Pročić suggested the name Braco, meaning little brother. Pročić died in 1995 while on holiday. The two were alone on a beach in South Africa when Braco says a rogue wave swept Pročić away after he had first taken off all of the gold jewelry he traditionally wore, along with his wallet. Are alarms going off for anyone else? A rogue wave took his mentor, but only after he took off all of his gold? Now, I don't know what to believe. I wasn't there. I just know that Braco's so cool. And whether he has figured out a way to just con people out of their money and he's a charlatan, or, you know, whether he's real and scientists can't figure out what's going on, right? Then I don't know. I don't know. If people are getting a benefit from it, I think that's what matters the most, right? That's the most important thing. But also, I mean, the murder part, if he did do that, super bad. Murder, objectively bad. Healing gaze, not objectively bad. Murder, objectively not cool. Braco, though, without the murder, super cool, super cool. Possibility of murder? Anyways, that's Braco. Thanks for watching. This has nothing to do with the HP, and I just really wanted to like have the let me know what random thing I should investigate next. And thanks. I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, I'm Mike Lasco, captain of the Headshot Posse esports team, and today we're talking about Tater. Sorry, you're gonna have to give me a minute. This is, it's not easy.
You know, everyone always says, like, we never would have thought that this person would have done that thing, but looking back, you see that she was kind of leaving little hints along the way.
I've seen videos you can also like capture humans, right? Like, how does that work?
Yes, so I have done that.
Oh my gosh, you're committing war crimes.
I know. I wanted to see if it really worked. I did it at the beginning, so it was like a very like low level traveler, and you just basically like battle them until their health gets low, and then you start like throwing as much balls as you can at them, and then one will eventually, hopefully, capture one. I tried to like put them to work, and they just stood there, and I was like, okay, this is pointless. But like,
You tried to make them be slaves too, Tater.
But then I was like, okay, this is low key kind of lame. I'm over here like torturing their pals. We're like set them on fire and like hang them upside down, like petting my pals and feeding them.
Okay.
Looking back, we should have noticed sooner, and it didn't take too long before she moved on from video games to real life violence.
I had one incident with Tater back in Texas. It's weird to talk about it. I was playing beer pong, she was playing cornhole, and just thinking about him, she beamed a beanbag at my head. Didn't even see it coming. It hurt. It hurt. She says that she didn't do it on purpose. But then, maybe 5 minutes later, another beanbag right to the back. And just the look in her eyes. It's just like, I've never seen anything like it.
Just for that, I'm gonna turn it on in Galveston and burn down the Airbnb. I'll blow this shit up.
No.
So, I was hanging out with everybody in the Airbnb when all of a sudden there was an explosion, and then I heard Tater laughing as she ran off with my arms. And then even as I regained consciousness, she slapped me with my arms, knocking me out, and she ran off with my arms. And now I'm an armless bozo.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the newest episode of Wildboy Investigates. I'm Wildboy, and today we're diving into the eerie world of a mysterious, forgotten gem from the 90s, the genre of text-based, choose-your-own-adventure games. Growing up as a kid in the early PC days when I had to use like dial-up at my grandma's house and say like, hey grandma, like get off the phone, like I'm trying to play video games, I'm trying to play Gaia Online and get this girl's number, animate baddie. Back then, there were 3 games that I can remember playing in the earliest days, like educational style games, that really stuck with me to this day. OG's gotta give it up for Oregon Trail, right? Like dying of dysentery, the ultimate defeat, uninstall. The second one being Space Cadet Pinball, of course, on the old Windows, like it came with the computer, I believe. The amount of times I played that game, unreal. And then the third one was Clue Quest, which came before a lot of these like point and click style adventure games. It was just text-based, it was super fun. All I can really remember doing in Clue Quest these days is that there was a lot of like harvesting of the like carrots in this garden, because the setting of the game was like a medieval castle, but I don't think you could ever go inside the castle. Like the castle door was always locked, and so the game was restricted to like you tending to the grounds of the castle. And I wish that I could find that game so that I could like re-explore the castle. So it's more like a nostalgic journey to the past, and the reason that I want to find this game. Originally, this genre began in print format in the form of choose-your-own adventure stories published en masse, and covered tales of mystery, fantasy, and even Goosebumps started releasing horror versions. These stories became super popular because readers could make choices that led to different story outcomes. These books were characterized by their branching paths and multiple endings, offering a personalized reading experience with the ability to reread the book over and over to get different endings. The advancement of PC games in the early 90s represented a significant shift in interactive storytelling. Eventually, this transition involved moving from a linear print format to a more dynamic and interactive format, allowing for nearly endless creativity.
Spellbreaker is the third game in a trilogy in which, instead of playing an adventurer, you play a magician, and you advance from being an apprentice to being one of the most powerful magicians in the land.
A game like Spellbreaker is not written directly onto a computer. It starts life as a few ideas jotted on paper.
Initially, it's almost like writing a book. You come up with a plot. This is a civilization founded on magic, and magic has stopped working. And then you start thinking of logic puzzles and things which will advance the plot and at the same time provide intellectual stimulation for the people who are playing it.
You are in a forest. There is quicksand to the west. A path leads to the east. Go east. An iron gate blocks your way. Open gate. It's locked. Well, so much for that.
But what if one of these games was more than just a simple quest? What if it hid something dark and unsettling beneath its innocent facade? Join me as we unravel the twisted story of an elusive 90s classic, where every choice could lead to a new, spine-chilling twist. So, grab a seat, turn off the lights, and prepare to embark on an adventure that blurs the line between reality and nightmare. What I liked about Clue Quest was that it provided multiple choice options for what you might do, similar to how dialogue options work in the Fallout games. You choose what you want to do, and the story progresses down that path. While some may think that it's more limited in what you might be able to do because it restricts your choices to a set number, I remember that this game always had like the common sense choices that I would do in real life, so it just avoided the frustration of a game not understanding or recognizing my command in games where you can type what you want to do. For example, like if there's a bush of berries, in one of the free text games, you could put like pick berries or grab berries or harvest berries. And if the programmer hadn't made the game to account for those responses, you wouldn't be able to accomplish that, right? It would spit out an error message or like, I don't understand, or can you say that again, or something like that. But in Clue Quest, it wasn't like that. It told you what your options were, kind of like A, B, C, or D. What do you want to do? It eliminated the frustration, for me at least, of like trying to find out what the answer was or what I could do, because it just told me what it was. I remember playing this game as a kid, but I thought it was so unlikely that like it would still be in my grandma's computer room or in my mom's computer room. Like we've moved 3-4 times, so I'm positive that it's lost to time. And I was just home in California too, so I don't know why I didn't ask my mom if she'd seen anything. She said she would take a look in some of the old boxes that I had from when I was a kid, and if she finds some of my old PC games, you know, maybe she'll send a picture, and maybe it's in there, you know, but I highly doubt it.
My initial search for this game was pretty fruitless. No combination of searching like 90s PC game, educational, for kids, Clue Quest. It seemed to ring any bells, and it kept pointing me to Clue Finders, which, you know, I'm 1000% sure wasn't the case. But every time I saw something with Clue in it, and it ended up being Clue Finders. So just to be sure, I wanted to actually take a look at Clue Finders, but it is definitely not.
Dr. Pythagoras, Mathra took another animal last night. Everyone is terrified.
Desperate, I reached out to the HP Discord to see if anyone played the game, also posted on Reddit for lost media, and still nothing.
So I heard back from my mom, and she was able to find a box of my old PC games and a bunch of other stuff in a box in her garage, and so she pulled them out and lined them up and took a picture, and so I'll put that up right here. And as you can see, in the top left is the game Clue Quest. This just reaffirms everything that I knew from the start, that I'm not a crazy person, and I know that I played this game as a kid. Downside, the disc isn't in there. And even if it was, like, it was cracked, the plastic was cracked, all that remains is just the front cover sleeve of the game. And as you can see, there's not much to go off of that could help me identify where I could get another copy or who I could reach out to. There's no contact information on the back side. It's just the front artwork, which is faded and blurry, and I apologize for the quality. You're looking at a picture of a scan that my mom sent me. So I ended up pulling it into PixArt and using an AI enhancer to see if I could make out what that bottom right circle is. However, as I said, the quality is super diminished, so it's really hard to make out what it says, and I narrowed it down to these two options.
Enhance.
But as expected, nothing popped up. I'm sure that even if there was like a game studio that I could find that was operating back when this game was released, and I still don't really have a too accurate time window on that. I think, you know, maybe 1997 to 2005. What I can remember was that it did look polished. It's not like some of the earlier games we saw where it was like 8-bit pixelated type of responses. It looked like a normal game, so maybe my time could be messed up and it's more like sub 2005, 2002 to 2005. It's just really, really difficult to tell.
Someone replied to my Discord post.
You are in luck. In 2010, I took a CD copy of the game and created an emulator version for the iPhone 4. These days, you could probably get it to run on UTM-SE with some effort. If you send over your email, I can get you the ROM. P.S. Don't forget to check out the Hedge Maze.
He said that to play the game, I would need an emulator that would work on my iPhone, so I'd be able to play it as if it was on my PC. And so it's time to play the game. It booted up just fine, and it just started asking questions: if I'm a boy or a girl, how old am I, and obviously I noticed that the game was clearly designed for kids, and even like asking me what my favorite candy flavor was before I was ready to start. The game was simple enough, I'd even say a little bit boring, obviously for me these days, but I still looked around, checked out the rose gardens, tended to the herbs, and just did some general exploring. And then I remembered the little PS at the bottom of the Reddit message that informed me to go check out the maze hedge. Now, I had already been there and I didn't see anything. It was just either go in the maze or go back to the main garden entrance. But when I went back, there was a new option. You decide not to risk getting lost inside and instead walk along the outside of the hedge. As you go, you find a small, hidden gate that leads to an area of the garden you haven't seen before, a section overgrown and wild. Exploring past the gate takes us here. You've been walking through the forest for hours trying to find your way back to the main trail when you stumble upon a clearing. In the center stands an old cabin. I decide to knock. As you knock, the door opens on its own. No one answers, but you hear a voice whispering from deeper inside the cabin. The voice sounds oddly familiar, almost like your own. The door creaks open. Inside, the air feels heavy and thick. A single chair sits in the center of the room, facing a flickering television. The screen suddenly turns on, showing footage of you walking into the cabin moments ago. You feel an icy hand touch your shoulder, but when you turn around, no one is there. I knew that I would enter the cabin, but I wanted to see what other options would lead to, so if you end up watching the TV, it says this. Entering the cabin, you notice a tall, dusty mirror in the corner. There is something unsettling about its reflection. It doesn't seem to match the room behind you perfectly. I think I'm going to cover the mirror. I don't want to mess with it. Without a sheet to cover the mirror, you turn it around so that it is facing the wall. Okay, fair enough. You proceed into the cabin and find the last unexplored room, but the door is locked. No, I'm not gonna partake in that, so we are just going to leave the cabin. Just out of curiosity though, what would happen if I tried to force it? Let's see. Are you sure? Okay, no, that's clearly a warning. Let's just leave. You find yourself lost in a dense, shadowy forest. The towering trees seem to press in from all sides, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. A faint fog rolls in, making it hard to see the path ahead. Strange whispers echo through the trees, though there's no one around. I know this is the wrong thing to do, but I'm gonna call out to the voices just to see. You call into the mist, asking if anyone is there. The voices stop for a moment, leaving an oppressive silence in their wake. Then one voice speaks, your own, calling you deeper into the woods. The fog thickens and you feel an unnatural pull beckoning you forward. That sounds like a skinwalker. You find yourself lost in a dense, shadowy forest. The towering trees seem to press in from all sides, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. A faint fog rolls in, making it hard to see the path ahead. Strange whispers echo through the trees, though there's no one around. You decide to stick to the narrow dirt trail, but the deeper you go, the more twisted and unnatural the trees become. After a while, you see something hanging from one of the branches. You can't make out what it is, but it is gross and appears to be dripping. You come across an abandoned campsite. The tent is torn and the campfire has long since gone cold. There are no signs of life, but the area feels wrong. Let's investigate. You look around the campsite, noticing strange claw marks on the trees nearby. As you inspect them closer, you realize they are not from any animal you know. Suddenly, you feel something watching you from the forest's edge. Think we still have time to search? I hope so. You pull back the flaps of the tent. Inside, you find a journal lying open. Chills run down your spine as you hear footsteps approaching from behind. When you turn around, no one is there. I'd like to pause real quick and just discuss how this very obviously is no longer a children's game. So far, it's been just voices that we don't know what's making them. That kind of sounds like our own. The feelings of being watched, footsteps creeping up behind us, whatever is hanging and dripping from this campsite that's abandoned with claw marks all over it. Like, this doesn't feel like this was designed for kids. This feels like there's a sense of danger for the player that we're playing in this story. So it's like I just don't know. I kind of want to choose some of these options and see if the game pushes it to like where it's obvious that this isn't appropriate. But I didn't have to go too far, because leaving the camp, trying to get as far away from it as possible, we start to hear something walking alongside you, just out of view. As you begin to run, it matches your pace, never letting you outrun it. The faster you run, the closer it gets until you feel a cold hand brush against your arm. So now it's actively touching us. I still want to run. I push myself faster, running through the underbrush, hearing its footsteps right behind you, but you are beginning to pull away. As your muscles burn with intensity, you reach a riverbank in a clearing surrounded by trees. The trees seem to have kept the fog at bay. This gives us 4 options, 2 to hide and 2 to run. Clearly whatever this is faster than me or just as fast, so I'm gonna hide. You crawl under the tangled roots of an old fallen tree. The roots create a small, dark space barely enough to hide you. The steps get closer, then stop directly above you. You hear it moving around, sniffing the ground, and muttering in a voice that sounds like your own. Oh no, 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 no. You gotta risk it for the biscuit, so let's sneak out and keep going. You wriggle under the dense undergrowth, the sharp thorns scratching at your skin. The footsteps grow louder, followed by a low growl. A long, white arm reaches down, a hand unfurling lengthy, clawed fingers. The hand grabs you by the shirt and pulls you from the roots. Your blood wets the earth and the trees rejoice. What the fuck? Going back to select the right choice, I stay quiet and try to stay out of sight as it searches. From this position, you can see the creature moving nearby, something vaguely human with dark eyes and limbs that move unnaturally. As it sniffs the air, it trails off looking for you in the wrong direction. And then 3 sets of numbers. But that's it. That's the end of the game. You can't select any of those, and that's it. That's all. And some of you might have figured out, as I did, that those numbers are coordinates. And when I looked them up, this is where they go. And I was pretty shocked to see that the top one is not too far from where I'm at now. But surely I wouldn't be crazy enough to go investigate these weird coordinates in this weird 90s childhood game that may or may not be related to skinwalkers. Hey everyone, Mike Glasgow here conducting the investigation into what I believe is a skinwalker in Texas. Out here on the land that the coordinates pointed to, I'm kind of doing like a 3-mile radius, I would say is fair, of the surroundings. So just going to be documenting everything and trying to find this thing. We've got the last of the maintained grass road, and off to the left and right, it's just untamed land. It's beautiful out here though. What the fuck is that? What the fuck? No, 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 don't. Dude, we need to go. Let's go, let's go. Hello and welcome back. I've returned from the trip and let's talk about everything that's gone on. So this originally started as me wanting to track down an old PC game that I played as a kid in the early days of computer gaming. We found a copy thanks to a kind person on Reddit that provided us the ROM to play on my iPhone. The game was pretty standard, just as I remembered it as a kid, with the exception of the hedge maze. If you revisited the hedge maze later in the game, a new choice would appear, allowing you to go around it. Now, I don't know how I never discovered this as a kid, but regardless, that path is there, and going down that path takes you kind of outside of the boundary of the standard game into like a very scary situation that ended in a real life sort of experience, in that if you complete the alternative hedge maze version of the game and survive the monster, you're provided with a set of 3 coordinates. I can't speak for the other 2, but I went to the first one and saw something pretty creepy and we got out of there. I don't know what the connection is between these 2, and that's why I think it's time to address the loose ends. The first one is, okay, we noticed the phrase AL or AL in the beginning of the game and at the end of the game when the coordinates are there. Now, I don't know if it's AL initials or if it's AL a name, maybe someone who developed the game, but again, we can't find out because the company no longer exists that made this game. So that's kind of dead end number 1. The second loose end being the gentleman from Reddit. Surely he may know, he pointed me to the hedge maze in the first place. Unfortunately, his account's no longer there. It doesn't exist. Deleted. So where does that leave us? We've got an old 90s, potentially PC game with ties over 20 years later to a real-world location and something pretty spooky. The point of Wildboy Investigates is to find these things out, but when I saw that thing standing in the tree line, Wildboy, all desire to investigate left my system. That's this episode. If you are located near any of the other 2 coordinate locations and want to take a look, please don't do that. But if you do, let me know what you find. And that's this episode. See you in the next one.